KFI, AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. This is the KFI News Special. He said, she said, they said.
I'm Steve Gregory. We've heard from Rabbi Michael Barclay about his view on the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence and their recognition at an LA Dodgers game. But the rabbi is also involved in teaching young people and counseling kids and their parents. I asked him about his views of introducing LGBTQ plus curriculum in schools.
When you talk about lifestyles, sexual choices, and being in charge of their body and physical choices. And those are two different issues. They really are. So let me back up a little bit in terms of understanding the issues around gender dysphoria. Being the concept of being uncomfortable that someone is born, it doesn't matter if they're a child or an adult, that they're born into a physical body, but they feel as if they are of the other body, a gender dysphoria. Okay, and that was the classic term that was used for it. It affects less than 0.1% of people worldwide. That's been the classic understanding, what the studies have shown for decades. Okay, we're talking about transgender. We're talking about in the culture gender modification and gender identification. But in doing so, one of the things that's happening is we're conflating three different things and making them into one point. So there's your gender, your sex, your plumbing, your chromosomes. That doesn't change, okay? You can't add or take away a Y chromosome. Okay, so that's one issue. We have the issue of your sexuality. Maybe you're straight, gay, bi, asexual, whatever it may be, and that's by choice or by birth. It could be either one, but it can change over time. But it's a personal choice what you want to do. And then you have the third issue of energy, feminine versus masculine energy. So feminine energy pulls in, masculine energy goes out. I'm just looking at this objectively from a viewpoint. So a wolf is the epitome of hunting with male energy. It goes out to hunt. A spider is the epitome of female energy. It pulls in to hunt. But we don't call a male spider she, and we don't call a female wolf he. It's three different issues. The sex or gender is one issue, the sexuality is one issue, and the energy is one issue. And I think part of the big challenge that is happening in our culture and in society is we've conflated these three issues into one. So a man, whether it's a young man or an older man, has a lot of feminine energy, pulls in. It's very, and it has that classic yin energy, that feminine energy. That has nothing to do with their sexual choice. It has nothing to do with their gender. And similarly, a female who has strong male energies out there and they're acting that way has nothing to do with her sexual choices and has nothing to do with her gender. So we've conflated those three, and then you question yourself, in the question you just asked, you've conflated those three together. You've used interchangeably the idea of sexuality and gender. And they are two different things. So it's one thing to educate people about sexuality and say, look, this is explorations or whatever. This is a percentage of the population. Maybe you're part of this, maybe you're not. It's one thing to talk about energy. We all have male and female energy. The whole other thing to say, let's modify our bodies. That's an entirely different issue. And, given the plasticity of our brains up until we're 27, 28 years old, given the amount of hormones that are going on in every preteen and teenager, and I've dealt with young people who are going through gender dysphoria. They feel that they are in the wrong body. And after having long conversations with them, then they've come to the place of saying, okay, you know what, Rabbi, you're right. And I'm still growing and learning, and I don't want to make any changes that could affect me down the road. I'm going to wait until I'm in my mid to late 20s to determine, really, do I want to make changes in terms of modifying my body? I don't think that we want to be encouraging children to modify their body, period, because the choices change. I mean, I think about who I was at 7 or 10 or 15. I'm sure you can think about who you were at 7 or 10 or 15 and who we are today. And a lot of things we were so certain of at 14 years old, we're not so certain of, or we realize we're wrong. So I'm very recalcitrant to in any way suggest that anyone should be involved in the decision-making for someone's body except the family members, the parents specifically, with their minor children. And I think there's a qualitative difference between having a conversation about gender and gender dysphoria as opposed to a conversation about sexuality. And, again, I really give a lot more, I give a lot more respect to parents and families so that they can have the dialogues with their children. I don't think that's a place for the state to be involved in and say, you know what, go explore this. Suddenly the statistics are that rather than 1 in 10,000 people having gender dysphoria, that now it's over 5%. In the last couple of years, the UCLA study showed that that's how much it's grown. That's a pretty radical increase. And either they weren't being reported beforehand, things have changed, or there's an agenda going on. And I really try to keep the education of the schools. I want our kids to learn while they still can. I want them to learn about Shakespeare, and I want them to learn about trigonometry, and I want them to learn about science and history and the formation of this nation and, all those kind of things. Because once they're in their 20s, they're probably not going to be studying. Most people don't continue studying and developing their intellect after they're done with school. So I would really hope that the school system would be focusing on those kind of things and leaving other decisions to the family. And certainly not ever encouraging any young person to do anything with their body, because that you can't change that.